David Maddox, political editor of The Independent, here in the lobby room in Parliament, our office in Parliament, with our political correspondent, Lily Cook, and yet another day of drama.
It never stops.
It never ends, it never ends. We were going to do a video anyway on the Nigel Farage story and how this affects Brexit, but here we go. Just before we started the video, the man himself made a dramatic statement. And what do you sum up of what's happened?
It was a long statement. He was up there for 15, 20 minutes. We trying to work out how long it went on for. And he's been facing growing criticism recently for his finances, effectively. He insists he's done nothing wrong, and that was the crux of a lot of the statement. He was hitting out the media for effectively, he was arguing they were invading his personal space and communicating with his family inappropriately, and he also insisted his finances are sort of no one's business and he's done absolutely nothing wrong. Then at the end, he announced that he'll be resigning to call a by-election, and a lot of people are dubbing this a political stunt, and really what Nigel Farage is trying to do here is to consolidate his own support and fend off this criticism. And he knows that he's got vast amounts of support in Clacton. And I think what Nigel Farage is trying to do here is to show that really the people still support him, even though what he's saying is the establishment media coming after him. He's trying to show that actually he's still popular. And I mean, whether or not it pays off is another question. I think at the moment, it depends on how much these allegations about his finances really cut through to people, and whether he can actually whether he can persuade people that the media's trying to do a so-called hatchet job on him.
We'll get on to Clacton in a minute, because I'm not sure it is quite as straightforward as he may think. But I mean, I was covering politics for the weekend, and you could see it coming. They were using the Trump playbook all the way through. Of course, Nigel is great friends, or has been great friends with Donald Trump. This was all an establishment conspiracy of which the media was part. And somehow his supporters believe that Nigel Farage and other reform people are somehow exempt from the normal transparency rules and scrutiny that applies to people who wish to be in government and wish to be Prime Minister. I would, of course, remind people that it's not so long ago that we were pursuing Keir Starmer and his cabinet over their gifts from Lord Alley, and the reason Keir Starmer is quitting as Prime Minister is not actually as much to do with reform and Nigel Farage, and more to do with the media scrutiny he's received and how Labour MPs have reacted to that.
Nigel Farage also weighed in on that as well. I think people pointed out on Twitter today that he pulled a little stunt where he put some glasses on at a press conference and said, "You guys know I paid for these myself." It wasn't Lord Alley. It was around the time that Starmer was having lots of criticism.
Exactly. I mean, but whether it's Reform, Labour, or any of the parties, hypocrisy is never in short supply, and that a long career in political journalism is always going back. But I think what Nigel Farage is trying to do here is he's trying to do an Andy Burnham. Let's put it like that. He's trying to grasp the agenda. He's thinking to himself, well, Andy Burnham has revived Labour, revived himself, made himself Prime Minister by having this by-election in Makerfield. And why not me? It could work for me in Clacton. And now, before we go into the details of Clacton, do you think that will work?
Really on the fence about it, because I actually, to be totally honest, I'm quite surprised that Nigel Farage is in this position in the first place. If you'd asked me 6 months ago and you showed me the allegations that are in front of him now, I actually think my guess would have been that he would have managed to brush it off, because he's so good at that. He's really good at avoiding actually having to be accountable to legitimate criticism. So I'm actually quite surprised that we're here at all. And I do think it might work. I think I'm really on the fence about it, because maybe he's performing worse than we expected he would, and if it doesn't work, I kind of now look at it won't necessarily be surprised, but I feel like he has got support in Clacton. He's always performed well there. Yes, Andy Burnham is coming back and he's revived Labour, but he's not I don't necessarily know whether that will be enough for Labour to beat them in Clacton. The Tories aren't doing particularly well. I don't really know. There's not really a strong enough contender to oust Nigel Farage really in Clacton. Maybe it's too soon to say, but I kind of feel like he will win.
I think he probably will win, but I think the real issue here is that this is a desperation reform. They've been in, I mean, you know, he made an issue about they've been leading the polls for 350 in a row. It's been almost 2 years since they've been leading the polls. And it's been really good, but that lead is dwindling. It's dwindling fast. And they're now facing the prospect of Andy Burnham barons. That will push them potentially into second place, which one, you know, that whole, in this 2 years, they never built a narrative, a philosophy, and real policies apart from cryptocurrency liberalisation, which, you know, funnily enough, their main donors are cryptocurrency billionaires. So it's, they've got very little to offer beyond Nigel himself. And Nigel is clearly a very tired and angry man who, by his own admission, as we were reporting over the weekend, was discussing quitting altogether. And this is very much a last thrown dice. But on Clacton itself, I checked up the figures on this. He got 46 point something % of the vote in the general election, when he was on a huge wave of popularity there. It's not absolutely definite that he would impact, and it's probable. But frankly, if the other parties went quiet or effectively gave the Tories a free run, and Tories held the seat before, you know, with Kemi Badenoch, an Essex MP, Clacton an Essex seat, it's not said and done, and the Tories could potentially pick up. We've seen on UCOP polling on this, I'm checking out on tactical voting, Labour, Lib Dems and Greens are all willing to vote Tory if they think it will stop reform. And Nigel is slightly vulnerable, though we've seen in previous by-elections where straight through in Runcorn with Sarah Patcham before everything kind of crystallised, but in Caerphilly in Wales, in Gorton and Denton in Manchester, and then in Makerfield, a big time in Makerfield, we've seen the tactical vote going the way of stopping reform. And I wonder if actually he's taken more of a gamble than he possibly realises, even though he clearly did vote.
The question is whether the other parties are clever enough or strong enough to hand it to another party.
Yeah,
because everyone just throws their hand.
Well, this is it. But I think they would certainly have candidates. It's a question, do they? I mean, would Andy Burnham go knocking doors in Clacton? I wouldn't be surprised. But will Kenny?
She probably would.
Yeah. I mean, now I can tell you, I have connections. I don't want to say what they are, because protecting people's personal privacies. But I have very good connections in Clacton, and there is a lot of unhappiness about Nigel's absence there, the way he's more likely to be seen next to Donald Trump in Washington or New York than he is on a Clacton seafront. So, you know, this is not said and done. Let's get on to the point of what we originally did the video on, is, of course, Brexit. Nigel Farage is the man who really gave us Brexit. Okay, Boris Johnson arguably won it, the vote to leave. But that referendum, well, nothing happened about Nigel Farage. His subsequent political career and all that beyond the referendum have been driven by Brexit. He is, as Donald Trump called it, Mr. Brexit. And, you know, his unravelling and the issues now facing him, I think, really kind of play into this, should we continue with this Brexit experiment?
I think there are two things at play here. One is that there are now lots of questions about whether or not he's taken us down the right route. There is lots of unhappiness still 10 years on with the way that Brexit has played out, and whether that's, did we make the right decision when we voted to leave in the first place, or has it just been mishandled? There are some two schools of thought there.
Yeah.
But I think that there is an increase in unhappiness with the current situation, and people have lots of different solutions. But it doesn't feel like there are that many people who think wow, what a success Brexit's been.
No.
And I think the other thing that this whole Nigel Farage scandal has sort of made me think of is that it seems a lot like he's a much better pressure group leader than he is a political party leader. And I think he's very, very good at leading a movement and an idea like Brexit. But he struggles when it comes to being a standard out-of-the-box political party leader. Because there are so much more scrutiny that comes with it. And you've got to be a lot more versatile.
That criticism is also true of the people he surrounds himself with, the people who are his allies. We've seen too many of these people who are kind of one-issue campaigners, but not single-issue campaigners, but not got a broad scope in what it requires to be in government.
Yeah, and you see that even in the way that their selection of policy proposals are so mismatched. There are so many things within the reforms offering that don't quite add up, and I think that he was very, very good on Brexit because it was just one thing, one slogan, and he could make all of the things within that add up. But as soon as you start having him as a legitimate political party leader who's trying to persuade people as the next Prime Minister, he's starting to struggle with it.
Well, I'll leave with one thought on this. I think this by-election is actually battle much more than just a last-ditch battle to save Nigel Farage. That is certainly the case. It's also a last-ditch battle to save reform as a even reasonable prospect for government. And perhaps it's a last-ditch battle from the Brexiteers to save the idea of Brexit as we rapidly move away from that